So one thing that I think the book really does a good job of conveying is just like how insanely persistent everybody had to be for the band to finally get a record deal. I think people that read that they got rejected 44 times are like, "Wow, that's a big number." But can you put that in perspective? Because that seems like a lot more than most people would go through before they quit.
I would have. I don't know how many times would you quit? 39. Would you have 30? Would you a 39 quitter?
I
42.
I don't quit.
No, we
I
don't
can't quit. You can't.
No, that's the thing.
It's
You know what
not-
Al said over that? That's not stupid what I just said. Scratch that.
No.
That was not. That was like, we're not at 39 quit. I thought it was funny, but it didn't come up. I would have quit at 39 now.
Yeah, I know.
That would have been funny. No. Okay, so yeah, we'll answer it seriously. What you probably found out is not all my jokes. Most of them are not funny. That was supposed to be funny too. See, thank you. Okay, not funny.
I'm laughing.
Yeah, laughing on the inside. Anyways, yeah, there were 44 separate occasions where we performed, and I do count the rejections from that whiskey show, which were quite a few major labels. But
so then if you add individual rejections, 6 or 7 labels kind of at a timer in there, it was probably more.
Well, yeah, it was quite a bit more. Those were 44 separate times that we did my Galaxy shows. I had label people down for every single thing. So when you're rejected that many times, it just becomes like, we kind of
because like I said, I was surprised. To me, when I first, that's why they did that Coconut Teaser show. When I one of the first shows that they did, probably with me as their manager, was because I was like, you need to get out there locally. And
also to show the label.
Yeah.
The label
that was the other thing. But I came from Pantera, White Zombie, Static X world. It was, you've got to play, you've got to get out there, you've got to kind of build this following.
Yeah, so pretty much every show that we did was designed to have a record label there. Other than the Big Fish pub, it was always 4 record labels. Our goal was to get this band signed, so there was always a record label person at every show. And that is what we were doing. Me and Danny Hayes and Scott, we were always trying to get people down to see this band because they were hit and miss, at certain points. But we showcased for every label under the sun, every independent. There were a ton. There had to be like 30 different independent labels at the time too, and even in fact, Jive Records, that label, which was part of Zomba, they had seen the band many times, and then finally at the very end said that they wanted to make an offer. But 44 showcases is no joke, and it's a lot. And it's a lot of stress to get 44 rejections, especially when it's just become commonplace. And at one point, you're going to just crack. And it was literally that last point. And mind you, we did 3 different showcases for Warner Brothers. And there was one guy that we didn't showcase for there at Warner, which was Joe McEwen. And I'm sure we'll talk about that shortly, because that one person is who made all the difference.
Right.
By the way, Jeff just actually brought up a really good point. Another thing about the overarching themes. When you really feel that it's there, it's despair, you're going to crack, you're going to do it. Usually, if you got to be able to keep looking forward, because generally, at least I've seen, that's the time when something happens. Mm-hmm. It's our nature is to kind of protect ourselves and start getting, well, this doesn't work anymore. But you really got to, I always tell everyone, when you hit that point where it feels like that, push yourself through.
The crazy thing is, though, you never know when you're at that point.
You feel it when you start hitting that point.
We're gonna crack, and then you have to go one more, and then it's like, it's true. It's the last,
Yeah.
And kind of a really quick statement here to that. I always equate it to the fact, like when you're running up a hill and you think you're gonna die and you're gonna pass out, that's your brain telling you that you have 10% more to go before you do die.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The band adapted and kept, evolving their sound, and Mike and Chester getting those transitions tighter and tighter and making it seem more effortless, because it is a lot of effort to get 2 completely different vocalists to mesh well in that chemistry, and a lot of trial and error with those guys. So like Rob said, you don't give up, but listen to the rejections and why, and adapt.
Yeah. So you go through all those rejections, and you said it pretty much just came down to one person at Warner. I'm sure through all this that you had pretty much put your reputation and probably your career on the line to get them through. So you finally well, you got hired as an A&R person at Warner, and that kind of brought them in. And then there was kind of a shift once things got in the studio, and Rob was there for some of this too, where there was just a lot of drama that happened. It kind of, your relationship with them shifted. So can you kind of just go through that whole part of the period?
Yeah. So, mind you, we were shopping for almost 3 years. We were rejected 3 times from Warner Brothers by one person who was a legend in his own right, David Kahn, who was a legendary producer, A&R person, and I had met somebody named Joe McEwen. Joe McEwen wanted to hire me as an A&R exec, and actually did like the band. And I had a whole bunch of other record label offers to go to, Epic and Island Def Jam, a whole bunch of places, but because of the one person, Joe McEwen, I took almost half of the salary to go there because they actually liked the band and the other labels didn't care for it.
Okay.
So that was a huge step of faith and putting money aside, attaching the band to my contract. I believed in it that much, and I'm always the type of person who I want to go in moving. I like momentum is everything, and that's a key too with bands too. Momentum is key in anything in life. So by the time when I told my boss at Zomba that I was going to be leaving, they go, "No, you're not." And
that's right.
I was like, "You've got to be kidding!" My whole dream of doing the A&R is getting poured out on the floor like a empty beer cup. So it took us 9 months, or me 9 months, to get out of my contract to go to Warner Brothers. And by the time I got to Warner, it had to be like that week. I get a phone call from the one guy who believed in the band, saying that he was no longer head of A&R. And guess who was our new head of A&R?
The guy who rejected you 3 times.
Exactly. And even before I started, we had this, I'll never forget, this lunch at a restaurant in Burbank. And he proceeded to really go, "Do you really think this band is ready?" Because he didn't like them and didn't like the rapper. And I'm like, "God, yes, they're ready." I mean, did you hear the songs? Because at that point, we had almost all those songs, at least in their nascent form. And immediately I was like, "Oh, God, this is going to be a disaster." And because we didn't have that belief and that support system, it was like already a negative pull on it. And it affected me. So I went directly and met with this amazing guy, Peter Standish. And, we just started going, "Hey, I'm not even at the record label yet, but let's get this thing moving." And that's how that all went. And then when we went into the studio to make the record, it was extremely traumatic. And Rob could tell you, I was getting pulled out going like, "Hey, this rapper isn't cutting it." And, the band, they didn't want to, the head of A&R didn't want to release the band and the record unless I did something about it. So it's very, very difficult to please different factions, the band, your boss, yourself, your vision. And Rob was there through the whole thing. It was really traumatic. I'm sure Rob could talk about it.
Yeah.
My attitude was like, "What now?"